And in doing the poses, then go through all of the steps just like I did. First, you get the gesture, and then you take and you get the volume, and then you start taking and clarifying it in terms of the box forms.
Would you still like us to work really small?
Yeah, fairly. Keep. Don't draw that big. But Yeah. What you've done here is you've made this a rigid line. Okay, when you look at him, and this is where you want, the first part of the drawing has got to be, you're trying to feel it. Mm-hmm. So that his head, first of all, is taking and turning this way. It's tilted. Mm-hmm. Right? And we can see that he's really turned. Mm-hmm. The more I see that he's turned, he's coming through, coming around, going over that surface. And now this leg is really in contrast to the other one. This one's actually coming forward, but it's going, because he's turned, it's going away from us. So you want to take in, think, but this is going down, going through. So I'm just taking and pulling through arm. This arm is really coming out. So this is a very rudimentary step now that I'm going through. Mm-hmm. Now, we start looking at the idea to help understand this more clearly. Now, when I look at him, I say, wow, if I'm drawing this, looking at this head, I can see, look at the line of the brow up here. Mm-hmm. Okay? But notice that the ear is down lower. It's down here. Mm-hmm. So there's a line that's going this way. We can look at this angle. So now in doing that, now that becomes a real clue to taking and seeing the box. Mm-hmm. You can see how that takes and turns now. That's right there. Okay? We've got that now. Nailed. Now, look at the whole torso. Well, think of the pit of the neck here. You can see the sternum coming down. That's giving you a sense. But we can also see that we're seeing more of the side here. He's turned. We can see the line across the ribs here. So we actually have a corner here. So that we've got this line. So now this becomes, and he's going back. Mm-hmm. So this is going back in. See, so we can see this thing going back. Now, the more I add to this, the stronger it gets. So it's clear now. We're starting to see this. Now we got the pelvis. You can look for the corner of the pelvis where we're at. Coming in, you can see the angle going through. We're just building this thing. Right through. Okay. Now, we talked about when looking at the arm. We talked about looking at the ends of the condyles of the end of the arm. Well, you can see here, corner, the end of the ulna. This really goes back in that way. That arm is taking and coming out. So I'm drawing this minus the upper arm right now. But what we're seeing, and I need to actually change the angle here, going through. This is a box now, going in, coming out towards us. This way. The upper arm would be going, turn, think of the wrist, drawing cross section. And I want to feel this is turning and going that way.
For this leg, would you exaggerate it a bit because it was just barely coming at us? For this type of exercise, would it make sense to make it come at us a little bit more just to see it, or?
Yeah, I try to go, if it's really ambiguous, I want to avoid ambiguity. Okay. So you make it one way or the other. And actually, when you're talking about, for instance, if you're in painting, we use the term muddy. Okay, a muddy means ambiguity. And so what we try to do, we don't want a muddy drawing, we want a clear drawing. But the first stage, see, that's why I jumped on you right away. That's that you're being way too rigid in your thinking. Okay. So we'll start out actually doing with 10-minute poses right away. In other words, when you're looking at this pose, the idea, the process that you're going through in doing the drawing is, first, it's a felt thing. You feel the pull of the neck. You're trying to feel the body going back down and in. Just those lines already now are starting to give the sense. And we can sense the shoulders lifted up. The arm would be coming back, coming down. Now, as we come through here, you can see that the hip is raised on his right side. And so we're feeling that come down. The leg is not vertical, it's at a diagonal. So as we're going through, you feel the pull. So it's not, you're trying to work too much with the crutch of trying to make these shapes. You want to feel the stuff going in. This is going in this way. Going through. Now, this arm is going over. Through. Going over the surface. And back. Okay. So now at that stage in the drawing, and trying to make sure I get the leg behind. I could even be looking at proportions. Now from that, you're taking and it's dealing with the volume. So first I'm actually thinking of the neck like a cylinder fitting in. So we can feel that pull. Going through now. Visualizing the whole rib cage area as a volume and drawing through. You're really trying to feel the whole thing. We can feel the spine, but he's turned. See, there's a shifting taking place in here. So getting one volume fitting into another volume. This is coming across. We can actually use the dimples back here to sense which direction, weight, dropping. Then we start coming through. So now, as we go through, and you make this leg become more of an angle. I was straightening it out too much. Coming through, and back, arm going out. Now I want to start focusing on the idea of the box. We can look at him and we can see that his head is going away from us. So in doing that now we're look at the line, this. But to the whole front of the head, so the box, this is really, he's taking, and if I draw, I want to get the head to tilt, I need to be thinking of that box going turning and going away from us. So the neck fitting into that, I'm not going to worry about drawing the neck as a box. It just doesn't translate very well. Okay, now, this is the part that can be a little tricky. When you look at this, it's hard to actually say, well, what way is that rib cage actually going? You know, the overall sense is that we get a feeling that maybe this is taking, and this is where the problems come now, because the surface up here, it really is curved, but the whole thing is taking and going in. This way. So that takes and then gives us the fact that we're talking about seeing the top up here. So we're getting this coming through. Then we take and we shift. Up here. Going through now we're getting a sense of the box going in. Okay. The arm, here's where we can see those condyles coming across. You can see the line through here. You feel the end here. So we could take an approach drawing this as, and I make no effort to attach them. I'm just trying to take and feel what way the whole form is going. Okay, you can come out, you can think of the wrist. This, now, in this case, it's really, it's almost parallel to us. I would probably turn it slightly. So we're seeing a little bit of this, and then come up. They're coming through here. The legs now, here, this whole leg is going away. You can look at the tendons to the back of the knee here. That gives us literally the sense of the sides of a box. And this is going through. Going through. Yeah. Now, here's where I would take in. See, what I've got so far tends to feel, but I still keep making it look too rigid. It's almost making, I want to make it go more, so I want to feel and that it's going in. So I'm pushing shape going this way, and I want to go underneath a bit to make it really clear that this is going in. And then we could take and build from that and start to come through. And we're looking down at it, so we're adding a sense of perspective into that. And the foot, treat the foot simply as a simple wedge type of form. We've got a top. Now here I can see where I would have to move this over. Again, look at the angle. What you're getting? Through. Looking at the side. Now, here, that arm is going away from us. So, in other words, if I started out doing this, now I can take and say, we look at the condyles here again. Here, it's turned. Okay, the wrist is obviously very rectangular now. You can see that clearly.
Like another tone?
No, that's okay. Then I would come back and add to this. And then we can start to add tone. Okay. Let's start out loose, free. Relax, 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 relax. Now, as you're doing it, you want to emphasize. That's what I think. Thinking, you try to feel the way he's going. Right? Feel the pull. The whole torso is doing this. Really through. So push the thing. Okay, foot through. Up. Up. Now, you got a bit more time, so go slow. Really try to figure it out now. Okay, so now, as I go back, I'm trying to think, well, okay. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm already thinking, okay, ear, corner of the eye socket. I'm thinking of that. I'm not thinking boxes yet, but I'm really definitely trying to just establish things. So each stage in the drawing is just a process of analysis. So actually going, start thinking, well, this can be a little tricky. Someplace down the line through here. See underneath, pull, pit of the neck. Now as I'm drawing, I want to feel the rib cage. So I'm looking across the ribs. We got to feel that this side going as we go through here. Again, just pushing down. Now, really stretching down here. So you can really feel that pelvis going down here. This is going up. And so I want to feel this volume, how we start to fit into the pubic arch through. Now, first tendency was to thinking it's not straight. It's going off at an angle. And push over the surface and through. The foot is turned. You really feel he's doing his toes there. Okay, this is down lower. It's really coming out. Out. You feel the flow, movement. Okay. Shoulders are going back, arms going back in, through, and back down, really going in. So, the point is that I'm resisting the temptation to take and start nailing it down right now. I'm just really trying to feel the thing. I find that the more times I go over it, the better I'm going to actually see what's going on. Okay, so now at this point, let's take and deal with the idea of the box. Okay, we've got already started with this. Here, got this going across. And through, angle. Okay, so we're really looking up at him. This whole thing is going back. The feel, the shape. Push. Okay, now from that, take and say, okay, well, this is going to be really tricky here. We're taking, actually, you also have to consider eye level. Like we're seeing somewhere in my eyes, roughly, it's in the center of his thigh. Mm-hmm. So we're really looking up at him. So even if that's directly facing us, I'm going to take and. But we're actually also, as I look at the amount of rib cage that I see, and where we're seeing more of his right side than we are of the left side. Mm-hmm. So I'm taking and thinking, okay, we can cross the corner of the rib cage here. We're pushing across the form. I'm trying to think this. So we're going up. So we're really seeing. Now this, maybe I need to move this in a little bit. Coming through. Since we're looking up, start pushing. I want to get the feeling of this. Now that's where we start to really say, this is coming through. Now, the pelvis is really at a totally different angle. See, now we're seeing the side of this. And we can really get the sense now that he is turned. And we're looking across here. And this is going, obviously going down. And we're seeing the side here. This is going back in. Going through. So in doing this, of course, it's always a question of interpretation. Mm-hmm. Yours may be slightly different than mine. Now I look at this, what I'm seeing then, what would be happening, and maybe it's showing a little more than I need to here. Maybe this should be going through. Okay. But what comes across right away is then when we start to add here, we can feel there's a real stretching on this side. And over here, there would be an obvious compression. Okay, so now we come through, this leg is coming out. Here's where we look across the condyles. And we're going down through. And back in. Through. And just going in. Here. It actually is still coming out towards us a little bit, but it's pretty much a frontal. So we're not getting a lot of twisting. We're not getting much of an opportunity there to take and show the sides. But I'll take and basically I'll cheat. I want to show a little of the side. And this is something that you should never feel any compulsion about doing, is you want things to be obvious. Mm-hmm. You don't want it to be ambiguous. Ambiguity is a muddy concept. Okay. Now, leg, this is coming forward now. We can see going through, overlapping here a bit. Now they come down through. The foot is really turned. So like I said, at this point we can treat the foot as just literally as a simple wedge type form. I wouldn't worry about the toes. Okay, now, shoulder, it's taking and turned. And down. And now we're getting what happens with the arm is that you all know your wrist is the radius turns. Mm-hmm. So we actually end up getting quite a variety of different shapes, but I'm just sort of, what I do is I just, at this point, just treating this as a rigid form. Well, actually what I've done here is I'm twisting it. Through. Same thing here. When you look at the shoulder now, you can actually, it looks square. You can see. And I'll look this way. Again, I'm making a judgment on that, going through. And we're coming back. Go for it. But the idea, if you can see, once I start creating these boxes, you can see how I'm really forcing the feeling, making it stronger. Mm-hmm. And yet it's not that far removed from where I began.
And you don't tend to worry about the perspective of that bottom plane at all? You don't tend to worry about the perspective of the bottom plane at all? You just kind of throw it in there to show that it's turning in space?
It could be, in other words, I could make this a bit more,
You just worry about the orientation of the box?
Yeah, you're trying to give sort of a fairly accurate sense of where it's going. Mm-hmm. But what you don't want to do is try to avoid taking and doing boxes where you've got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glenn, since we are looking up on his pelvis, wouldn't we see the bottom plane more than the top plane from our angle?
No, you can't see the top and the bottom at the same time.
Yeah,
so because over here you indicate the top plane.
Yeah,
so,
I've indicated the top.
So we would not see the bottom plane.
Yeah, right.
No?
You can't see the top and bottom at the same time on a box.
Okay. So you have to decide which one.
Yes.
Because I thought I will see more of bottom plane than
Okay,
the top
now
plane.
let's just draw that now. See, if you drew where you saw the bottom plane. See, I'm keeping this line the same. Okay, then you came in. Now you would be saying that the pelvis is tilting back.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that's totally the opposite direction. Yeah. That wouldn't work.
Okay.
His pelvis is tilting forward, not back.
Okay.
See?
Thank you.
Okay, coming back. Now, he's doing this. Okay, you're getting that angle. But you're looking up at him. Here you're saying we're looking down. You're saying this is leaning out towards us.
Okay.
so that this is now to come through. That this you really have to go this way. Coming out that way. Then we're turning, and we start getting into here. Also, you're minimizing. You've drawn this almost as if it was straight up. It's really the feeling that we get out of this is that he's going back that way, and then we're turning, and he's going in that way. You understated the whole thing here. We want to get the feeling. Yeah. And that's why I was saying, you push it, exaggerate it,
and that's
make
why
it
they
stronger.
look stiff.
Huh?
That's why they look stiff.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you. Can we take one more for 10 minutes and then we'll take a break? Okay. Yeah, that's the part if you want to bring your characters, bring them to life. Let's go back. Let's go back here and see that taking it past, like even as you what you're doing here. Okay. Now here's where I would actually, in a sense, modify what I see to make the action stronger. Okay, so look, what's going on? Looking down. But the first thing I'm just trying to feel, okay, go through. Really feel the shoulders up, down. Now he's doing, the overall sense of what we see is this. Through. The leg coming out. Pushing down. Okay, so that's the start. Now, to take in, when you start seeing a gesture, then the point is that you try to continue to take and make that stronger. You can see the rib cage center is coming towards us. Okay, so that means that there is a shifting taking place in this. And we're going across this way. We're doing it, pulling through. Okay, so maybe this. Now, pelvis is actually going this way. So the minute you start to clarify even that mount, and that, but you can sense that there's this stretching here, and that we're getting, this is a twist, but we also feel that this is, wow, it's sort of coming out at us this way. And then we're getting the bulging, compression taking place in here. So then you really stretch down through here. And then Then we start to get into here. So now, in doing this, I'm exaggerating a little bit. I turned the line, but it's not that much of an exaggeration. If we take from the knee here and think of where the bone is attaching, it's over here, it goes this way. But what we're seeing is a summation of lines that creates a vertical. So we need to take and change that play. So we're coming from underneath, feeling the pulling through. This is coming up, going across over that surface, coming through. Now come back down. So now when I start to take and deal with the box, that really, here's where I would start changing, because the feeling I get is that this is coming out. We can feel the stomach pushing out this way. And we can feel the rib cage going in, and we got the pelvis coming the other way. So I would start to take and make this a bit stronger going this way. So as I'm doing that, then this would be reflected in the drawing then as I carried it farther, because we're seeing the side here. So we're getting a twist coming through. And this is fairly straight going in. And going over into here. Okay, so that we really now we can start sensing, well, there's this twisting. We can really think about where that twist is going to be here. All of this stuff is coming out and going over, coming through. Now, really focus on this leg coming out. We come across where the condyles are in here. And now we're going back in. Through. Yeah. Okay, here, like I said, it started with that. This is actually turned, going through here and back in. What I do is, what I was just looking at was the angle across the ankle. So you're seeing this, where the actual bone, no, I would literally draw more of what I see, or what I don't see, as I go back in, and then start to build the forms coming out of that. Here's where I would be focusing on trying to show, and I would take and maybe cheat a little bit to give a little bit more of a sense of the wrist. But you're thinking of going through, it's in perspective. And in reality, we twist. So I would take and maybe draw maybe a bit of a twist in here, so we start to see that this is going back. Now the trick is, how the hell do I draw that twist? Okay, do this, show a little bit more here. Well, it's sort of a twist. Okay. The idea. The box doesn't solve all my problems. No. this, we should keep clear. Take and come in and use tone. The arm coming across, we can take and think of the hand is going to come out here. The wrist, again, I would draw cross section. And we start to push. Maybe this time I can get away with giving a little bit of a twist to this thing. And if I do this, okay, let's take about a 10-minute break here. And you all that need something to eat, grab it, but let's come back. That's not a very success. Anyway, but you can see it would have been like force it, push it stronger.
Yeah.
Because when you come back in, if I come back in to draw this thing, then it would really this help me to understand what I've got to do and all the pressures and the tensions that are taking place in it.